Hey there everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of Pastor Stu's book review. This week's material focuses on technology, the future, and discipleship as it relates to humanity and the image of God. Join me as I take a look at Jacob Shatzer's book, Transhumanism and the Image of God, Today's Technology and the Future of Christian Discipleship. Just some information about Jacob Shatzer, which was pulled from the IVP academic website. He's assistant professor and associate dean in the School of Theology and Missions at Union University. He's also an ordained Southern Baptist minister and the author of A Spreading and Abiding Hope, as well as editor of a volume of essays by A.J. Connors and assistant editor for Ethics and Medicine. Shatzer is published in the fields of theology and ethics, and he's an expert in the thought of the late Southern Baptist theologian A.J. Connors. He has contributed scholarly essays to New Bioethics, Pro Ecclesia, and the Journal of Religion, Media, and Digital Culture. I'll put a link below for his Amazon page so you can take a look at his other works and get a little more information, as well as possibly purchase this book if it's something you're interested in. We also want to offer the premise or the idea behind why Shatzer is writing, as well as his proposed solution in order to deal with such an issue. His goal in this book is to further describe trans and post-humanism ideas and how they're going to impact the future of Christian connection. He aims not to devalue technology, but to bring an awareness of how those technologies are shaping us as people today towards a post-humanistic society aiming at transhumanistic values and goals. And to give a little more insight into that, Shatzer explains post-humanism as a next stage in human evolution brought about by our interaction with and connection to modern technology. He then explains transhumanism as the values that are associated with the post-humanistic goal. If you're confused by that, don't worry, it's a lot to process, but he does spend a good deal of time explaining what those are, what the ideas are, throughout some of the chapters. The solution that he offers is that by offering a deeper understanding into what technology is and how we should use it, leaders can be more aware of practices that will prevent this surge towards post-humanism and keep intact what is cherished by God on a human level. At this point, we want to turn our attention to the format of the book. Transhumanism and the Image of God is 178 pages in length, and it was put out by IVP Academic in April of this year. On the screen, you'll see the table of contents listed as we've done in the past, that'll give you an idea of what to expect when you open the book and read it for the first time. Shatzer titles each chapter after the key idea or question he'd like to address, followed by the specific issue that he's going to be wrestling with. Each chapter aims to explain what the topic is while offering insight into how technology is altering the way that people tend to view their interaction with moral ethics and relational community. Much of what he presents offers insights from other authors, secular and non-secular, in the field who have written regarding the subject of technology and the impact it has on basic human operations. He then attempts to tie in basic biblical ideas to address the concerns that leadership should take to prevent a full buy-in to these post-humanistic ideas. It's also at this point that we just want to turn to the overall summary. As we've given the format and we've given the idea of why this is being written, we want to address and give just kind of my impressions and ideas, as well as some highlights with regards to the material that's in the book. First off, this book was really out of the box for what I typically read, and some of that is gained from not completely understanding what to expect when reading this type of book. It's not material I usually turn to. Throughout the chapters, though, Jacob offers some good insights mixed with some really odd ideas, I thought, that seemed on the verge of science fiction, but I have to admit I have no previous knowledge or idea about the scientific progress that's going on out there. It's not an area that I study or research or look into very much, but it does come across as very science fiction-y in that regard. So it's a little bit of my ignorance speaking in that. I'll discuss more of that as I get down to the highlights. Reading through this book, I was able to reflect on the current state of technology and people's use of it, and could see the point of view that Jacob was trying to offer, as well as the dangers of what could be coming over the horizon with our increased reliance on technological advances. And it's no secret that as time goes on, technology advances, and it keeps moving forward. New items, new gadgets that are always coming out and being released. So just something to be aware of as we look forward to. So as far as the highlights go, and I've got some really good insights that I gained from this book, and I'm going to focus one of the highlights on kind of the oddity that stood out to me in the middle of the book, just because if you do pick this book up, we want you to be aware exactly of what's going on with that. To begin with, the dangers of the virtual world. While much of what Shatzer focuses on serves as a warning, he does spend a lot of time focusing on the push towards augmented and virtual reality, as well as the involvement of video games that transport the players to an alternate world. Now, as a person who enjoys playing video games and streams and does all of that, this kind of hit home as far as what to be concerned with and what to be aware of, as something that you don't really consider just because you see it as just a game. Jacob mentions the fact that behaviors that were once deemed as unacceptable in everyday society are finding a level of normalcy in online communities. And as a result, things are becoming more accepted that weren't in the past. He also addresses the impact that fictional avatars have on society's perception of itself, as more freedom in the virtual world is given to where you want to go and be, and who you want to be in the world of online interactions. This push towards online communities is also having a deep impact on the communities as a whole, as people are moving away from face-to-face interactions and more into impersonal online communications, where who you want to be is presented as opposed to who you actually are. And it is his opinion that this is all having a very detrimental effect on relationships, which I do not disagree with. You can see that in just human interactions on a regular basis. And as an introvert, while I don't love face-to-face interactions, I do acknowledge that there's great value in them. On a more positive note, I really appreciated his take on the lack of attention in today's society. The nice thing about the way he approached it is the depth that he goes to clarify that he's not just talking about a loss of focus on a task, which is an issue, but the act of giving attention to something of great value. He explores this notion that when it comes to quality of life, it takes a backseat to things like profit. He claims on page 33 that in our culture we are so often distracted, we're focusing on subordinate aspects of our existence rather than attending to what is truly central. His point being that focus isn't necessarily the issue, but what we are focused on is causing the problem. And this is so true when we look at just social media interaction with people, as they're looking for likes and they're looking for approval, but the depth of relationship isn't really there. So as long as someone clicks on a like button or sends a heart someone's way as far as liking material, they're not after the actual relationship as much as they are the approval. So it's really something to pay attention to. Thirdly, his emphasis on the importance of place as it relates to Christianity. I thought this was a really interesting idea. He devotes a chapter to expressing how even our mapping technology has removed the uniqueness of place in our world, and he uses the imagery to say it used to be that you would almost be going on an adventure when you went on a road trip, but because of the advancement of GPS technology and that type of thing, it's actually pulling our attention away from being responsible drivers and really being willing to explore. So that sense of adventure is being taken from us because now it's about efficiency, getting from point A to point B in the most efficient time instead of enjoying the journey. This tie-in with Christianity is that we should be open to doing what we can to celebrate the uniqueness of where we are in our world and to build a better society in our current location. People are always looking to go bigger, better places, and they ignore where they are and enjoying the beauty of the location that they're currently taking up. And I think we can all admit that we're guilty of that at times. And then the final point that I really want to highlight is the most bizarre as it relates to this material, and this is where I see it bordering on science fiction. Shatzer begins talking about the possibility of an increase in artificial intelligence and the dangerous path that it could lead to, including mind cloning and mind uploading. He suggests that we already have a type of mind cloning, and he refers to social media presence with that, where the idea of mind cloning is this thought that there are two minds that are alike sharing different spaces, digital and biological. And he expresses the idea that this idea of social media and the fact that we put part of ourselves out there, our likes, our interests, you know, the ads that we click on and the ads that we watch and the videos that we watch are all part of this mind uploading or mind cloning idea. It's not as excessive as he talks about with the mind cloning, but it is part of something that he says that transhumanists are moving forward toward. And then the other one, mind uploading, is this idea of the biological mind and consciousness being uploaded into a digital form, thus making the biological obsolete. And this is where it gets a little odd for me. I don't know anything in the field. I don't know any research, as I said before, about the progress being made specifically to get there, but just know that that is covered in this text. So if it's something that you're not interested in learning about and reading about, it's a chapter or two that you can probably skip over to get to the meat of what's really going on. Not to say that what he put there isn't important, but it can be a little science fiction-y. And if you're the type of person that really freaks out over things, this is a chapter that could do that to you. So just be aware of that. Alright, so now that we've covered the review and some of the highlights from that book, I want to offer some concluding thoughts, including whether I believe that Jacob Shatzer met the goal he was trying to reach, as well as just some finalized thoughts as who I would recommend it for, if anyone. So let's get right into that as we start to understand the book while offering some interesting ideas as far as mind cloning and mind uploading and all of that. I believe that if we were to focus on his goal of being informative and sharing with the reader what this idea of transhumanism is and posthumanism is in relation to technology and how it shapes us, I think he hit the nail on the head. I think he did what he was setting out to do and gave some nice warnings and ideas and thoughts as far as what it looks like for Christians to properly handle technology, more than just saying that, you know, well, as long as we use it properly, then we're fine. But to give that deeper insight to say, no, we need to understand more of how it's shaping us, how it's changing the way we think, and how it changes the world that we interact with. So I think he definitely hits the nail on the head. And as far as recommending it to anyone, it's really a tough call. I don't have any specific person that I could recommend this to read. If you've got free time and it's something that you're interested in, and technology is something that you're really all about and are interested in how it affects how we minister to people as a leader, I would say it's worth picking up. If you're a new believer and you're looking for something to read, this is not something that I would recommend that you pick up, because there are other things that you could put your time and focus on to better build your relationship with God. And if technology, however, is an issue for you and you have a problem stepping away from it, and I understand the irony of focusing on this book as I'm sitting here doing a YouTube video and what that shapes, then pick it up, give it a look. So there's not any one person or group of people that I would recommend this for. I would say it's not material that you would use in a small group or a Sunday school lesson, but if you've got some leisure time and are looking for something a little different to read, I would definitely recommend taking a look at it and, you know, getting an idea of what you think about it. What I did like is Shatzer doesn't aim at fear-mongering, which a lot of these books tend to do. So his goal is really just that, to inform, to make people aware of what ideas are being pushed and the morals behind, and the ethics and morals behind those goals. So for that reason, I can only recommend it to a select group that are interested in the subject matter. So just some concluding thoughts here. Jacob Shatzer's Transhumanism and the Image of God, Today's Technology and the Future of Christian Discipleship is really unlike anything that I've read as far as subject matter goes. The warnings of a depersonalized society are already well recognized by many, but ignored by so many more. You can hear that in complaints all the time about how people are getting less and less connected, even though with technology we claim to be more and more connected. people staring at their phones during meals, and people spending so much time on social media as opposed to talking with one another and building relationships. This book provided great insight into being aware of exactly how something as seemingly innocent as social media and technology can shape the way we think and process the world we live in. And it was refreshing to see a point of view that addresses technology not just as something to be properly managed, but to be closely examined and critiqued and criticized in order to understand how it's impacting our lives and our minds. So that's it for this week's review. Definitely let me know what you think about this subject in the comments below. If you've read this or have heard anything about it, let me know what you thought about it. Did you enjoy it? Did the people that read it enjoy it? And do you think technology is negatively shaping us as we use it? If so, what are you doing to disconnect from time to time? And also, as always, if you like this video, please click that subscribe button, click that like button, and that way you'll know when I post again. Next week, we'll be looking at a book by Sean McDowell and J. Warner Wallace, which is called So the Next Generation Will Know, Preparing Young Christians for a Challenging World. So until next time, guys, always remember to keep the faith, and you are deeply cherished. Blessings to you all.